Hey everybody, this is E. Marcel Bertune. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Inquirer Show. We're recording this on July 13th, 2020. Hope all is well with you out in the world. We are still in Atlanta doing our normal things, trying to stay safe and stay healthy as we go through the summer months. As always, want to follow everything that we're doing, head to the mothership, thesportsinquirer.net. Premier site for the news and notes in the world of sports. You're able to go there and see all of our content. You can also go to Twitter and Instagram under Sports Inquirer. That's all one word. Just go to those pages, look us up, and you'll see everything that we're doing. Facebook, we have two pages on there, The Sports Inquirer, those separate words, and Sports Inquirer, which is all one word. And then finally, subscribe to us on YouTube and SoundCloud under The Sports Inquirer. You do a search there, you'll see all of our archived shows, starting with The Sports Inquirer Show, which you're listening to now. Also, Verbal Submission, which is our combat sport podcast, and other things in the world of sports. As I said, we're here in Atlanta. Things are going well. Had a good weekend. Was home for the most part. Watched a lot of MLS's back tournament, and that's how we're going to start the show off discussing that, particularly Atlanta United's match against the New York Red Bulls. And watch some wrestling in Japan. I'm going to save that for my Sports Inquirer. Well, I'll save that for my Verbal Submission podcast. But watched a lot of Japanese wrestling and caught up with some AEW and WWE, so that was good. And that was really it. Just pretty straightforward things that we did. As I said, we're going to start the show discussing Atlanta United's loss to the New York Red Bulls in their first match in the MLS's back tournament in Orlando. Next, we will go into the Backdoor Cut. The Atlanta Dream have reported to the WNBA bubble in Florida, as well as they are preparing to start their season. We were able to get information from head coach Nicki Collen on the team's preparations and obviously the Kelly Loefler ownership situation with the team and Black Lives Matter. We'll delve into that. Also, more news since our last show about college football and the altering of schedules. So that'll be the next portion of our show on the technical state of Georgia athletics. And finally, I'll go into the Gridiron Blitz and the impending name change of the Washington Redskins. We've broken it down a lot over the past few shows and how it can, the commerce side of it, and I'll look at it from that perspective and others, and we'll just wrap up there. But as always, we're going to start off with the original free kick, the MLS's back tournament. Atlanta United fell to the New York Red Bulls 1-0 in its opening match of the tournament on July 11th. The lone goal of the contest came in the 4th minute on Florentine's Velo's shot. He took advantage of a counterattack started by Kaku, and he passed the ball through the midfield, past the Atlanta United defenders, and Velo was able to chip the ball past Brad Guzan in the 4th minute and gave the Red Bulls the 1-0 lead. Here is Brad Guzan discussing the goal and what the team struggled with in that sequence.
I'm going to have to look back at it. My initial reaction was probably Fernando is too far over. We get stuck to the ball and our spacing's not good enough. I mean, you look at the Red Bull game against Cincinnati. You look at their games in the past. Their fullbacks, especially on the weak side, will bomb forward and get forward, as well as their interior midfielders, and they will make that run consistently. And with one ball, we were in trouble. Our spacing wasn't good enough, and with one ball over the top, he was in on goal.
And that was Brad Guzan discussing the goal and the defensive struggles that the team had at various points of the contest. Actually, he breaks it down a little bit more in the post-match comments, and we'll get to that later. But Atlanta had chances to equalize in the first half. Pity Martinez played a ball into George Bello, and he ripped a left-footed shot past the goalkeeper David Jansen, but it deflected off the crossbar, and that was Atlanta's best chance in the first half. Atlanta controlled play for a good amount of the second half as well, and we'll get to statistics. You'll see that bear out. The best chance they had in the second half was a header by Adam Jean, who's a substitute in the second half in stoppage time, but the header was saved in a diving effort by Jensen. Here is manager Frank de Boer discussing the loss and what the team struggled with in the contest.
Biggest improvement that we gave too many big chances away. And I think, if you start with the first goal, I have to see it back. But I think we are not alert enough, to see the guy who's coming. And so the first half they had 3 good chances, and 2 times we are too sloppy with marking. And out of nothing, suddenly there appeared a chance. So we have to do that much better. I think during the whole. Oh, still everybody there? Oh. Yeah. Okay. I think during the first half, I think we really played quite well and we created our chances. What I already mentioned, the cross from Brooks Lennon towards Manuel Castro was, I think, a 100% chance. George Bello, of course, had a great chance. PT, maybe half a chance. So and we played, I think, quite well. We had our speed on the flanks, and PT was really involved into the game. And so in that case, I was satisfied. But football is a game of mistakes, and we have to understand that. Who makes the less mistakes normally wins. And of course, also you have to mark goals. That's also an issue in soccer. So we have to improve in that. But the first half, I think we were better. They had maybe 3 very good chances, but I think we had also 200% chances. And so I said it in the half time that I was quite pleased how they played, but. We have to start directly from the beginning and not after we received a goal against us. Second half, I think it was a little bit equal, the game. They had some very good opportunities. We had some good opportunities, especially with Manuel Castro in the beginning. And later on, you saw that everybody gets a little bit more tired. Also, Red Bull. Put some fresh guys in. Hopefully they can make the difference. And we were very close with Adam Young at the end with a good header, but unfortunately, it wasn't given for us a draw. But I see a lot of positive things, but we have to understand. We are Atlanta United. We want to win every game, and that's the attitude that we want to see, of course. And we're never satisfied with maybe a point or. Especially in 0 points.
And that was Frank de Boer discussing the loss and the team just not being able to execute on the offensive end. You look at the statistics; they outshot New York 14-6. They had more corner kicks. They had led in possession 69% to 31%. Passing accuracy, Atlanta was 83%, while the Red Bulls were only 60%. Atlanta had more than 20 cross attempts in the contest. So you look at those statistics and you figure that Atlanta will be able to put away at least 1 goal, but they were unable to do that. And you look at the starting lineup, it was very interesting. And I think what you saw is, we already knew that 2 players had the coronavirus at some point during the MLS's back term or even leading up to the tournament. And now we did hear from manager Frank de Boer before the match that everyone was cleared and ready to go. But if you look at the lineup and some guys that you would have thought may have gotten a start in the contest, and I'm not speculating, I don't have any inside information about who had the virus and things like that. But with Barco not starting and Adam Jean, you would think the main who's is the main striker now, you would assume, for the team with the injury to Joseph Martinez. He didn't start. Mateus Rossetto, he started the match, and so instead there, even Jeff Renowitz. I mean, Emerson Hyman has started he just started quite a bit last year and it started this year, but he came off the bench. So you look at the situation and you wonder if those guys, or even guys who started the match in the contest and were subbed out, if their stamina was in question. So you look at that, and I think with the 5 substitutes, it's very tough to get a gauge on the team, all the teams, at least in the first match or 2 of this tournament, because you have to figure that not everyone is 100% fit. Now, there were some good signs as far as fitness goes. You saw Miles Robinson play a full match, and that's good news for Atlanta supporters, and because he is the team's best defender, and he hasn't played in a match since September October of 2019. So we did play a full slate, so that was a good sign for the team in that regard. But I said, and you look at the lineup, they look like they lacked. I don't want to put it all on not having Joseph Martinez, but you would figure if he was out there, one of those crosses would have found the back of the net courtesy of him. But the good sign is that you saw the possession and you saw that they were able to control flow of play. They just were unable to score the goals. And defensively, there was a lot of leakage in the first half and even some more in the second half. It got a little tighter in the second half defensively for Atlanta. But Brad Guzan did speak after the contest about Atlanta's defensive struggles in that first half and throughout the contest.
Obviously, I think there's plenty of areas to improve. You look at the result; that obviously wasn't good enough from a performance standpoint. I think our spacing could have been better, and then ultimately our options to go forward. I think in the first half, especially, we know Red Bull plays a high line. The direct balls from us. And still being confident to try and play. There were times when our spacing was good and we were able to link 2 or 3 passes and get out the other side and instantly became a threat. When we're going back to front and we're going direct within one pass, that's not us. That's not who we are. And so I think our spacing could have been better, and obviously defensively we need to be much better. Aside from the goal, they still have good chances, set pieces. So there's a lot of areas to look back at the tape and get better for all of us.
And that was Brad Guzan discussing the defensive struggles of the team in the contest. And now let's play Frank de Boer. He discusses all the things I talked about as far as the team not being able to put away those chances and those goals.
To be better, but also the occupation in the box itself, of course, has to be better, but also the finishing. I think if you see we had 2 crosses with to Mano Castro, and 2 times he mishit it, so then it's not a shot on goal. But for me, it was really a good chance. Also in the first half, the cross that Brooks gave, but it was a little bit too hard maybe. He couldn't control it really, Manuel, because if it's a little bit slower, probably you can have an easy tap in or a control and then have a very big opportunity. So it's it's not only the delivery. Sometimes it's the player itself. Sometimes it's delivery, and sometimes it's the occupation in the box itself.
And now it's Frank de Boer discussing the team's struggle to put away a goal in the contest. Now next up for Atlanta is a match against FC Cincinnati on July 16th, and which is this upcoming Thursday. FC Cincinnati, they lost their match to Columbus Crew 2-0 later on that same day. So both teams are winless and pointless in the tournament so far. The way the tournament works is World Cup style. Top 2 teams in the standings are able to advance to the knockout stage. And I think the third place teams in some of the groups that have the best record of goal differential will be able to advance as well. But with the Red Bulls and the Columbus Crew, who looked very good in their matchup against Cincinnati, both of those teams have 3 full points so far. So you have to figure if Atlanta wins out their next 2 games, they'll probably find their way into the tournament. But that makes the Cincinnati matchup extremely crucial. And here is manager Frank de Boer discussing the importance of that Cincinnati contest.
I think a lot of number 3s also going. We still go for the first place. We have to know that we have to win games, and that's where Atlanta stands for, and we're gonna do that the next time. And I'm confident what I saw today. that we can have a good result against Cincinnati. And but yeah, of course, still when you lose against Cincinnati, you can still, with a good result against Columbus Crew, you can go to the next round. But of course, you don't want to be in that situation. And I believe that we going to have a good result against Cincinnati.
And that was Frank de Boer discussing the Cincinnati contest. And as far as the rest of the tournament goes, you look at the teams that I mentioned that looked really good. Columbus looked really good. Big win by Minnesota, getting coming down 2-0, 1-0, and getting 2 late goals, including a one in extra time, to get a big win over Kansas City. I'm watching Toronto and DC United right now, and Toronto is up 2-0 in the 52nd minute as we're recording this show, and they have controlled the pace and play of this entire matchup. So some teams are looking very good. We haven't seen the Galaxy yet, and you have to figure they're going to be strong in LAFC and teams like that. But this tournament is very wide open. So many elements. We've already seen Nashville having to pull out, and obviously Dallas, and they were hit really hard by the coronavirus, and were not even able to participate in any matches. So that alone shows you that it's a very volatile situation as far as if any players test positive or things along those lines. But as far as going back to Atlanta, you like the possession, you like control. You would figure that the defense will be a little bit better once they get more time on the field. When you have some talents in the back line, like a Robinson and Escobar, guys who are experienced defenders, you figure that they would be able to do some things in that regard. So we'll see what happens. We just have to figure. This season looks like it's gonna come down to the contributions of Pity Martinez and Ezekiel Barco, and as far as the goals or where they come from, I think it's not going to be traditional style we see with Atlanta over the past few years with a Joseph Martinez as your main striker. Adam Jean has talent. He's not at Martinez's level, and that's not an insult to Jean, but he's just not as productive as Martinez, who has arguably been the best player in the league over the past 2-3 years combined. So you look at that, and that's where Atlanta may struggle with their goals. They're going to have to do a lot of build-up. And then defensively, I think they'll be fine as well. I said they just had a lot of leakage in the back line, but that's going to take timings and improvements, I think, if that's going to happen overall. So those are my thoughts on Atlanta's first match of the season. And we're going to transition into the backdoor cut portion of the show, and we'll discuss some WNBA. We've discussed the Atlanta Hawks quite a bit and the NBA, as well. The Hawks are eliminated from the, I don't know if you want to call it NBA is back tournament or whatever terminology you want to use, but we've discussed the NBA quite a bit as far as them trying to get back onto the field for their activities. The WNBA is in the same boat as well, and they are in Florida. They are at the IMG Academy. So we were able to get audio from Atlanta Dream head coach Nicki Collen about the team's expectations in preparing for this upcoming season on the court. So here is Coach Collen discussing the Dream.
That's it. I think I'm going to start with the second question because obviously with what's going on in the world right now and even what's going on with my team and what's going on, with my franchise and ownership and everything else, that I got to control what I can control. And I have to let go of other things. And, as a staff, we were talking today even about how, I'm very scout driven. I want to take away our opponents' strengths. And it's not like we'll stop doing that. But I think it's a year where we have to get uncomfortable and be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And maybe it means, taking the approach that it's about, us continuing to get better at what we do rather than always being consumed with what we're going to take away from our opponents. And so, I'm going to have to balance that because I told my assistants today, I said, it's easy for me to sit here and say right now that I understand what you're saying, that we're going to have to be better at, continuing to develop our own team rather than worrying about everybody else. I said, but you're going to have to remind me before we play LA, and you're going to have to remind me of that before we play Seattle. because, my natural instinct is to prepare. What are we going to do with Stewie? What are we going to do with Candace? And certainly we will do that. But there are times with the way the season's laid out where you're going to play 10 games in 19 days, that you have to keep figuring out a way with a young team to just get a little better every game. And we say it all the time. It's so cliche-ish, but it's true that you have to trust the process, and with Renee opting out and really knowing right away that Kennedy's going to be someone that we've got to rely on. She does a lot of incredible things, but she's going to make a lot of mistakes as a rookie. And so we're going to have to learn to live with her mistakes and teach her to play through them and things like that. So I think there's going to be a lot of things that are a little different for us. And then what does success look like for us? I mean, we're not talking about number of wins. Obviously, Vegas, the odds in Vegas don't think we're very good. But I think we're a little better than those odds. Certainly, we need some pieces back on this roster to, probably realize our full potential. But I like our pieces. I like our ability to score the basketball. And so, do we expect to make the playoffs? I mean, we certainly want to compete for the playoffs. But for us, it's going to be one game at a time, trying to be better at the end of the season than we are at the beginning, and kind of build towards 2021, if nothing else.
And that was Coach Collen discussing the Dream and their preparations for the upcoming season. It's an unavoidable topic as well. If you are listening to the show, you follow sports, and you know also about the owner of the team, one of the owners, Kelly Loefler, the appointed United States Senator for the state of Georgia. She has made her opinions known as far as disapproval of the social change initiative that's tied into this WNBA season, particularly Black Lives Matter. And if you follow her politics and her opinions of it, she is not a supporter of it. But the league has made it especially known, from players being able to have messages on their jerseys, and I think they'll have some language or some art on the court as well. And she has stated that she does not believe in it. She thinks it's a political matter that should not carry over into sports. And in an unusual move, you have the Atlanta Dream players, and individually they've made their statements known that they do not like Kelly Loefler and they want her eliminated from ownership. But from the team's account itself, they have posted the opinions of the players of the team in their statements about their disapproval of Kelly Loefler, which is very surprising because she owns the team, and they post the statement countering what her stance is as the owner of the team. It's a very interesting situation, and Nicki Collen addressed it in her own way and stated what she thought about it. So there is Coach Collen discussing the Kelly Loefler situation.
To the complicated aspects of where Kelly Loeffler stands on Black Lives Matter versus what our players. I mean, it's not easy, and I've been honest with the players about how I feel specifically to them, and how I wish I could be at times more supportive, but they know, they understand how I feel, that I'm going to both lead and serve them, and quite frankly walk side by side with them. So it's been difficult because I can only say certain things. I have to toe the line of what's kind of politically correct, but I was really proud of their statement, because I felt like it was truly taking the high road, really explaining themselves without it turning negative. And so it was easy, I think, to really show true support to them because of that, because they really took the approach of they wanted people to understand that it was a movement. It wasn't a political statement. They want people to know that, all lives can't matter if Black lives don't. And so, they're asking for, simple things. And I think equality, it sounds like it's a simple thing. And through history, we know it isn't. And so what can we do? What small part can I play in making that more of a reality in today's world?
And that was Coach Collen discussing it. Very tough situation, because she, as she mentioned, she is on both sides of it. Obviously, she's with her players and spends all of her time with them, and supports their individual beliefs and opinions. But as a head coach, she's also a part of management, and the owner of the team is her employer. So that's a very awkward situation. But she's addressed it, and we'll see what happens as things go along there. And we'll break down more of the dream team on the court as they get closer to their regular season. Let's transition over to the technical state of Georgia athletics. And I think since we did our last show, we've discussed the terms of college football or fall sports. We'll start with the ACC. They have postponed their fall sports until September 1st. Now, that does not affect the college football season yet, but we obviously covered Georgia Tech volleyball quite a bit on our show. So that means that they are not going to have, I think, some of their non-conference tournament or activities. So I want to state that. But we also have to look at what the Big Ten and the Pac-12, as we're recording the show, have eliminated non-conference play for at least their college football teams. Very strange in this regard. And I was looking at the schedules of, I just pulled up Michigan and Ohio State. And you're going to have Michigan play on the road, at different places, but they cannot play non-conference contest. Yet you're going to have a Nebraska travel to Wisconsin, or a Penn State go to Iowa, yet they can't play non-conference contest, where the threat and safety issues of the coronavirus are just as strong playing the conference schedule as compared to the non-conference schedule. I guess they're trying to figure, and the Pac-12 is the same deal as well. I guess they figure that maybe later on in the season, there'll be a magic cure over the next few weeks, and they'll be able to play their contest as far as conference play goes, while the non-conference games tend to be earlier in the schedule. But this isn't going anywhere. If you're going to go this route, just cancel the season or move it to the spring. I don't want to see them move that. Personally and selfishly, I don't want to see a spring season of college football. I like it in the fall. It fits the sports calendar very well. And I want to see football as soon as possible. That's a selfish fan in me. Now, and immediately, professionally, with our site, that's really not good. But these are human beings, and it's a health issue. So you have to look at it from that perspective as well. But you can't go halfway with it